This conference will now be recorded.
We were talking about bank reconciliation statement yesterday. Now, yesterday we talked about different points regarding bank reconciliation statement, how GL accounts are maintained, on what basis you will create house banks and all. Today, let's talk about some sample examples and let's try to understand what accounting calculations we will do to calculate bank reconciliation values. So let me take some simple examples to make you understand how BRS calculations are done, and slowly we will try to understand what kind of accounting entries we will be passing for BRS. Let me take example number 1. In example number 1, let's take Citibank current account, INR currency, and account number, some random number. This is the bank that you're talking about for BRS. Citibank INR, when we mean the account currency is INR, and this is the account number at the end, whatever we have given. Now what we will do, let us take 1 month transactions till date. Let me take bank transactions during June 2023. Let's assume the bank transactions that took place in current month, which is June 2023. What I'll do, I'll take the dates. Let me take 1st June. On 1st June, I am taking opening balance, or simply I'll put, for example, date, transaction, amount. So date I'll take 1st June 2023. I'll take transaction as opening balance. Let me take opening balance as something 30,000. Next one, let me take the 1st June itself. Check received 3,500. Let me take on 2nd June. Check issued 5,950. On 3rd June, bank interest received 1,239, and on 4th June, let me write bank transfer received 12,852. Next, on 5th, let me put check issued 3,764, and on 8th, let me put bank transfer made 4,800. Similarly, on 10th, I'll say bank charges 860, and finally I'll take on 12th June other charges 500. Assuming this is the bank statement. Bank statement for June 2023, or we've already given bank transactions during 2023. Let's assume these are the transactions that took place in June 2023. If these are the transactions that took place in June 2023, according to bank transactions, you know what are the respective transactions that took place during the month and what is your opening balance for the month of June. Considering the opening balance and considering the detailed transactions during this month, we must be in a position to identify or calculate what is your closing balance according to bank. Now, when you do this, you need to go by a different logic. Now, bank balance calculation. When you're talking about bank balance calculation, you may be calculating bank closing balance or bank opening balance, bank current balance. Let it be any balance. Whenever you're trying to calculate bank balance, you should go in a different approach. Your approach for calculating bank balance is not based on the debit credit. Your bank account balance calculation is not based on debit credit logic. Always remember, in BRS, we don't follow the logic of debit and credit. Normally in accounting, what we do, we follow the concept of debit and credit. Am I correct? In accounting, you follow debit and then credit concept, but when it comes to BRS, we don't follow the concept of debit and credit for balance calculation purpose. Reason why we don't follow the debit and credit approach for BRS or for bank reconciliation is because debit and credit concept is vice versa in your BRS and then in your accounting. Whatever you debit in accounting will be credited in banking. Whatever you credit in accounting will be debited in banking. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
If I talk about debit has two meanings. My debit may be increase according to accounting, my debit may be decrease according to banking. So this has a controversial meaning. So that is why whenever you talk about BRS or banking, you will not be talking about debit credit balance. Instead, you will be talking about net impact on your bank balance. You will be talking whether your bank balance is increasing or your bank balance is decreasing. Okay, here I put, we don't follow debit credit logic and we follow increase decrease logic. Clear? Instead of following debit credit logic, we will be following increase decrease logic. Even in your interview, you are not supposed to tell debit credit. If you tell debit, if you tell credit, it will be a controversial. You may get into unwanted confusion. Because you may tell debit according to bank point of view, your interviewer might try to confuse you by stating, no, according to this will be increase or it will reduce the balance. There will be a slight misunderstanding. You may be finding it a little tricky, difficult to convince the other person if you are following debit credit concept. If you are clear with the logic, you can talk about it because you are able to convince the other person. But if you are not clear, do not follow debit credit. Instead, always try to follow increase decrease logic. Clear? Now here what I will do to take this simple example, I put my current balance. I put current balance as 100. Now I'll put receipt and I'll put a payment. Just be on mute, those who are not talking. Okay. Let's say your current balance is 100 and you have a receipt of 30 and you have a payment of 15. Now from this you need to calculate closing balance. Now what normally we will do when you're talking about current balance, there is a positive balance or negative balance. What is the current balance? It is 100, correct? Now for your balance, if you have receipt, is this receipt going to increase your bank balance or decrease the balance?
Increase the balance.
Receipt will increase the balance. Now this receipt is going to be debited or is going to be credited is secondary. Currently we are not focusing, we are not concerned about debit credit. Currently we are only concerned about whether your account balance is increasing or your account balance is decreasing. Keep your focus only on the account balance, whether your transaction is increasing your account balance or your transaction is decreasing the account balance. If it is increasing, put plus. If it is decreasing, put minus. Clear? Now this receipt will increase the balance or decrease the balance?
Increase.
Receipt will increase the balance. I'll put a plus here. Payment will increase the balance or decrease the balance?
Increase the balance.
Decrease.
Payment will decrease the balance. Anything which is decreasing your balance, put a minus symbol here. Now to find out the closing balance, what you will do? You will be doing 100 plus 30 minus 15, correct? Is this your closing balance? Your current balance
Yes,
is 100. You received 30. It has become 130. From 130 you paid 15. 130 minus 15 is your 15. This is how you will be calculating your closing balance. Is this clear why we got 115 here? Any doubt? I did not mention anywhere debit credit, but are you able to understand why 115? Clear?
yes.
Now next one, I'll put the same thing here, same amount once again, 100. Anything that you are receiving, if it is increasing your bank balance, put a positive number. Anything which you are receiving or any kind of a transaction which is increasing your bank balance, put what figure? Positive number. So this will be a positive number. And any amount or any transaction which is decreasing or reducing your bank account balance, put a negative number to it. This payment, is this increasing or decreasing your bank balance?
Decrease.
Payment is decreasing your bank balance. Anything which is decreasing, you need to put a negative number. So I'll be keeping a negative 15 here. If I put negative 15 here, always make sure if you put the numbers according to accounting format. When we talk about accounting format, we are talking about positive amount for increase, negative amount for decrease. Positive amount for increase, negative amount for decrease. This positive for increase, negative for decrease is common for both accounting and then banking. Now if you put the numbers according to positive negative symbol signature, you can straight away do a total for this. Now I'm not adding, deducting anything, I'm just doing a sum here. Are we getting the same number 115?
Yes, sir.
Right, you got the same number 115. Let me put the same number once again. I'll put 100 once again. Now anything that you are receiving, anything that you are receiving, anything that you are receiving, is it debit or credit? If you receive, it is debit or it is credit?
Debit.
Credit, sir.
If you receive, it is
Debit.
Credit.
debit. Now if you say debit, I'll say correct. If you say credit, again I will say correct. Why debit is correct, credit is correct? Because I'm not talking about this 100 is according to bank or this 100 according to accounting, correct? I did not mention this 100 whether this is according to accounting or according to banking. Did I mention it anywhere? We are only keeping current balance. We are adding receipt and then payment. We are not telling is this your accounting balance or is this your banking balance. If you are talking about accounting point of view, this receipt will be, now let me put accounting here. Next one I'll put banking. Banking also I'll put 100. According to accounting, receipt of 30 will be what? 30 debit or 30 credit?
Debit.
Debit for account.
According to accounting, 30 debit. Same thing according to banking. If you receive anything,
Credit.
Credit.
this is 30 credit. The easiest simple example is whenever you receive salary, you will receive a message, your account is credited with XYZ amount, correct? Simple example is whenever you receive the salary, you will check, or from next time when you receive the salary or when you receive any amount in your account, look at the message or look at the email that you get for your account alert. You will receive a message stating your account has been credited in case if there is a deposit. In case if you withdraw the amount, you will get a message stating your account has been debited. Correct? Your SMS will tell debit for the deduction. Your SMS or your message will tell credit for addition. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So considering this logic, your receipt is debit according to accounting, receipt is credit according to banking. On the other side, what about payment? Your payment of 15, according to accounting, payment is debit or credit?
Credit.
Credit.
Clear? This is credit. Same 15, according to banking, will it be debit or credit?
Debit.
This will be debit. Now, when you talk about closing balance, you will get 115 here. According to accounting, this 115 is a debit balance or credit balance?
Credit balance.
According to accounting,
Debit balance. Debit balance.
Debit
it's a
balance.
debit balance. According to accounting, this is 115 debit balance. According to banking,
Credit
according to
balance.
banking,
Credit.
Credit balance.
before you learn BRS, you have to learn these calculations. If these calculations are not clear, BRS will not be clear. As simple as that. Because now how many transactions you have on the Excel sheet? How
9.
many transactions we have written? How many transactions on this? How many transactions we have written? Transactions.
One.
Whenever you are talking about a transaction, you are not including opening balance, you are not including closing balance. How many additions, deductions you have done?
2.
How many additions, deductions we have done? Only two. One receipt, one payment. This is not a transaction. This is your current balance, which means your opening balance. This is your closing balance, which is the calculated figure. Okay. The transactions that are always representing the difference between opening balance and closing balance. How many transactions we have calculated here? Only two. One is receipt, one is payment. Correct? One receipt we have written, one payment we have written. Now, whatever you have done for the receipt, whatever you have done for the payment, are these two logics clear?
Sir, could you please explain the closing balance? How in accounting 115 can be debit?
Here I have written a positive number because we will not normally have overdraft in the bank. Your bank account will always show the available amount to be utilized,
Yes, sir.
right? So according to that, this is your available amount. Current account balance is 100. For the current account balance, you have received 30. So your account balance has become 130. From 130, you have paid 15. 130 minus 15 is 115. This is again your available balance.
Sir, accounting point of view,
Got it,
it
sir.
is 100 is the debit. Yes, it is an asset.
Right. Correct. You're right. So that is why I have not mentioned any debit credit here. This is your available balance. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Clear? Why 115 debit according to accounting? Why 115 credit according to banking? Any doubt, confusion here? This is your first point. If this is not clear, BRS will not be clear. Upfront, I am telling you, if this is not clear, BRS will not be clear. I'm not talking about configuration of BRS. BRS configuration is very simple, straightforward. You can complete within 30 minutes. Even if you put a timer, I'll show you BRS configuration within 30 minutes. But we're not talking about config point of view. We are talking from logic concept point of view. If you understand why 115 debit here, 115 credit here, you understood the logic of BRS. Your total BRS is based on this green logic, this yellow logic. Accounting and then banking. Whether you have two transactions, whether you have 2000 transactions, you are going to apply the same logic. Clear? You are going to get the same figure. One side, the amount will be represented as a debit balance. On the other side, the same amount will be represented as credited balance. If you see both the sides, it is 115 only, or any mismatch in the number.
No, sir, I have one doubt, sir. One second. Hello.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, here you are thinking as a bank point of view. Yes, sir. Sir? So bank point of view, it is opening balance, it is a credit balance. Yes.
Right.
That is the reason 115 is the credit.
Yes, correct.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other doubts, questions, confusions on this calculation? This is your first point to understand BRS. This is not just specific to SAP, this is in general BRS what we are talking about. If you understand this, you understand BRS in any system, any application. We are not learning BRS from SAP point of view. There is nothing new in BRS when it comes to SAP. Whatever BRS you do normally, the same BRS you will do in SAP. Now this is clear,
Sir,
right?
sir, in accounting, as per the accounting principles, just because we had this 100 in our opening balance, so we took it as a opening balance. But why we are taking the 100 as credit in banking?
According to banking, your available balance is always credit. According to accounting, your available balance is always debit.
Bank is liable to you, bank is liable to customer. That is the reason credit. Yes, sir.
Yes. That's it. You got what he said?
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Right, bank, it's not bank own amount, right? Bank is liable to make payment to you. Whatever the amount you have in your bank, it is not bank amount, it is your amount. Tomorrow bank is supposed to pay back to you whatever the amount you hold.
Correct, sir.
That is why according to bank, it is always a credit balance.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
All right. Now let me come back to this statement. Before I come back to this statement, I want to make sure that everybody is clear with this. If you are clear with this, you will understand this so easily. Any questions? No? All right. Now what we are doing here is, now point number one that you should always keep in your mind. Just be on mute. Point number one you should keep in your mind is, now before I go to that point number one, I want you to look at this once again. Whether you calculated the figure according to banking or according to accounting, is there any change in the closing balance? Is there any change in the closing balance?
No.
No, sir.
There is no change in the closing balance. But where is the difference? Difference is coming only in the debit credit indicator.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Huh? Difference is
Yes.
coming only in the debit credit indicator. For the same amount 30, one side you are writing as debit, on the other side you are writing this as credit. Similarly for 15, one side you are writing it as credit, on the other side you are writing it as debit. Similarly closing balance, one side we are telling credit balance, on the other side we are telling it as debit balance. Now this debit credit, is it straightforward or it is ulta or confusing here? Controversial. This is confusing here. This is reverse. This is always coming reverse debit credit.
Yes, sir.
Right? That is the reason we've mentioned a point here. We don't follow debit credit logic in bank balance calculation. Instead of debit credit logic, which logic we will use? We will be using increasing and decreasing logic. What you have to see, you have to look at your current account balance. You have to look at the current account balance. From this current account balance, look at the transaction impact. How this transaction is impacting or affecting your current bank balance. If this transaction, which is receipt, is this going to increase the balance or decrease the balance?
Increase the balance.
Receipt is going to increase the balance. Anything that is increasing is an addition. Okay. Let me put increase is add and decrease is what? Less. Increase in the bank account balance will be add, decrease in the bank account balance is less. If you recollect the bank reconciliation statement that you prepared during your academics, you would have made balance as per passbook or cash book. Are you able to recollect anything by looking at this line?
Yes, sir.
And to this you would have put add, you would have put less. And then finally you would have written again balance as per, this will be ulta, cash book or passbook. Am I correct? If you start the passbook If you start with passbook balance, you will find out cash book balance. If you start with the cash book balance, you will find out passbook balance. Am I correct? And the difference, you will be doing 2 points. Either you will add or you will deduct. Correct? Is this right?
Yes, sir.
This is what we have done in your BRS. The same thing you are going to do in SAP. There is no change. If you recollect your academics, your commerce, accounting, whatever, wherever you studied this BRS, nowhere you would have mentioned a debit credit. Everywhere you would have mentioned add less. Correct? You would have mentioned only add less, plus minus. Same logic is applicable even in SAP. You will not be mentioning debit credit in BRS. Instead, you will be mentioning plus minus, in short, increase decrease or add deduct, add less. So here what you need to do, when you are doing a plus, when you are adding, you will put a plus symbol. Correct? Add is nothing but plus. Am I correct? Increase or add is nothing but plus. Decrease or less is nothing but what? Minus. Yes, no? Are these symbols correct?
Correct, sir.
Now you will be playing with plus minus symbol in BRS, not with debit credit. Instead of debit credit, we will be playing with plus minus in BRS. Now let's come back to this and let's play with plus minus. I will say my bank opening balance is 30,000. Remember, if there is no symbol to a number, that is always assumed as a positive number or a plus number. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If there is no sign to it, either plus or minus, that is assumed to be a positive number, which means a plus number. Now next one, let us focus from the transaction onwards. What is the first transaction?
Check.
First transaction is check received. When you receive the check, your bank balance will increase or decrease.
Increase.
Increase.
When you receive a check, your bank balance will increase. If your bank balance is increasing, is this a plus or a minus?
Plus.
When your bank balance is increasing, this is a plus. So for plus, do you put any symbol or it will be a plain number?
It will be a plain number.
It will be a plain number because even though if you put plus, system will not show the plus. Clear? Even though if you put plus, it will not show that plus symbol. In short, any number without any sign, either plus or minus, is always assumed as positive number, which means plus symbol. Next one, here I'll put this is add or increase or plus. Correct? Second one is your check issued. When you issue a check, what will happen to your bank balance? Will your bank balance increase or decrease when you issue a check?
Decrease, decrease.
Decrease.
Your bank balance will decrease. When your bank balance is decreasing, do we need to add it or deduct it?
Deduct it.
We need to deduct. To deduct or to less, you need to put a minus symbol here. Correct? Number should have a minus symbol.
Yes.
Now here I'll put less or decrease or minus. Third one, bank interest received. When you receive the bank interest, your bank balance will increase or decrease.
Increase.
When you receive the bank interest, your bank balance will increase. Anything which is increasing, a positive number or a negative number.
The positive.
It's a positive number. For positive number, we will put add, increase or plus. You can call it in any of the things that you are comfortable with. For positive number, we will not put any plus. It will be a direct plain number. Next one, bank transfer received. When you receive any amount through bank transfer, your account balance will increase or decrease.
To increase.
Your bank account balance will increase. If your account balance is increasing, it's a plus or minus.
Plus
If your account
plus.
balance is increasing, it will be a plus. I'll put same thing, add, increase or plus. Next one, check issued. When you issue a check, your bank balance will increase or decrease.
Decrease.
When you issue a check, your bank balance will decrease. If there is a decrease, is this a positive number or a negative number?
Negative number.
It will be a negative number, and I'll put less, decrease or minus here. Next one, bank transfer made. You have initiated a bank transfer. In this case, what will happen if you make bank transfer?
Decrease.
Decrease.
It will be a decrease because you are initiating the bank transfer, which means it's a payment to you. This is again a decrease in the bank balance. Any decrease in your bank balance will be a negative number. Right? This I'll put as again less. Next one is your bank charges. When you have bank charges, your account balance will increase or decrease.
Decrease.
Your account balance will decrease. For any decrease in the account balance, it's a negative number. So I'll put less here. Last one, other charges. If you have any other charges in your account, your balance will increase or decrease.
Decrease.
It will decrease. Decrease is again a negative number. Here I'll put less. Now, are these symbols clear? Why we put positive, why we put negative?
Just because of increase or decrease of the account.
Right, because of the impact, whether the transaction is increasing the balance or decreasing the balance, we have put positive, negative accordingly. This is what you have to understand first from banking point of view, what a transaction had happened, whether this transaction is increasing the account balance or decreasing the account balance. The impact of increase, decrease is common in both accounting and in your banking. There is no change in it. When you put the amount according to the transaction impact on the account balance, whether this is going to increase the value or decrease the value, accordingly you are going to place positive, negative sign. Once you put that, to find out the closing balance, simply do a total. Simply do a total. Whatever the amount you get is called as closing balance. This is called as closing balance. You don't need to do anything. Whatever you do, this is called as your closing balance. Correct? Your closing balance
Yeah.
is positive or negative?
Positive.
Your closing balance is positive. Now positive, this closing balance is positive. Now if you talk this closing balance from accounting point of view, you have accounting point of view and then you will have bank point of view. From account point of view, this 31717, bank point of view also this will be 31717. But from accounting point of view, this will show a positive number or a negative number.
Negative number. No,
Account
sorry,
point of
positive.
view.
Debit.
Account point of view, this will be a positive number. Similarly, bank point of view,
It's credit.
Credit.
bank point of view, it will be a negative number. But apart from this sign, is there any change in the number?
No.
Apart from the sign, there is no change in the number, which means whenever you perform the BRS or whenever you do the bank reconciliation statement, the main aim is to ensure that balance as per bank statement and balance as per your accounting are the same. Okay, balance as per your bank statement, balance as per your account statement, which means your general ledger balance report, your bank statement report must have the same number. One side it will be a negative number, on the other side it will be a positive number. Apart from that, there is no change. Clear? Clear? Any doubt in this statement, closing balance calculation, and the number that we have listed according to bank, according to accounting, one side positive, the other side negative? Any question in this? Any question you can ask on this calculation part? This is very, very important. If you understand this, config is nothing in BRS. As I told, it's a 30-minute activity, half an hour. Half an hour for config, half an hour for testing, 1 hour for BRS. If you want to go only with config, it's a 1 hour topic. But if you want to go by the concept, logic point of view, so that you will be able to implement on your own BRS for any client, you will be able to handle any issues in BRS, you have to understand logically, conceptually, for which it will take a little time. Any questions in this? Now, irrespective of the bank, irrespective of the client, irrespective of the company, irrespective of the month, irrespective of the number of transactions, logic is only this two. Your total BRS is dependent on plus minus. It all depends on how good you are at deciding whether a transaction is going to be a plus or whether a transaction is going to be a minus. That depends on how you are seeing the transaction and how accurate you are at looking at the accounting transaction. If you see it from the banking point of view and you are thinking from accounting point of view, you are wrong. On the other side, if you are seeing it from accounting point of view, you are thinking from banking point of view, again you are wrong. You have to be very careful, you have to be very conscious when you are performing BRS. Otherwise, you will go very much confused. You will not understand why numbers are going here and there. It's all because you are not able to judge what is plus, what is minus. First thing is to ensure that you are able to decide what is positive, what is negative, which one you are going to add, which one you are going to list, deduct, on what basis. For that, first thing you need to look at is whether you are looking at the transaction from banking point of view or from accounting point of view. Now, if you see it from accounting point of view, if you see it from banking point of view, what normally happens? We normally tend to think from debit credit point of view. Whenever you talk about any number, the first thing that comes in our mind is debit or credit. Even in BRS, quite common for everybody, debit credit will come into mind. When you are thinking from debit credit for the bank statement point of view or for BRS point of view, majority of the cases we will go wrong. Why majority of the cases we will go wrong? Because debit credit are reverse from accounting point of view and from banking point of view. When you see this debit credit, some you think from accounting point of view debit credit, unconsciously some you think debit credit from banking point of view. We will end up clubbing accounting debit credits, banking debit credits. At the end, you will have an incorrect number as your closing balance. This is the only reason why most of the people will find BRS as difficult or BRS is a tricky part. There is nothing tough, there is nothing difficult in BRS if you understand these basic logics. Because config, as I said, it's a very simple task. Now I will log into SAP. To give you confidence, let me show you something. After seeing this, tell me whatever you feel about BRS is tough or easy. Financial accounting, bank accounting, business transactions, payment transactions, manual bank statement. How many settings you have here? Under manual bank statement, how many settings? 1, 2, 3.
I think so. Your screen has been stuck.
3 settings.
Can you see this manual bank statement below that 1, 2, 3?
Yes.
Is everybody able to see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me open the first one. Create and assign business transactions. Now, if you see this, you have something called minus plus minus plus. Even if you open the drop down, you have nothing but positive value, negative value. Do you find anywhere debit, credit?
मतलब छोटी छोटी कंपनियां से क्या करे कोने बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां जो है तो सर मारे कहीं क्या जिको में ट्रेनिंग लियो इंटरव्यू अटेंड कर तने कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाए जन बे बोले कि
Okay, do you find anywhere debit, credit? Or you find positive, negative, plus, minus symbol?
Only symbols
What is
we have.
this? You have only
Plus
this
minus.
symbol, positive, negative you have. But there is nothing called debit, credit. Let me go back. Second step, this is asking chart of account. Give any one chart of account. Account symbol, there is no debit, credit here. Here also there is no point of debit, credit. Here also there is no point of debit, credit. Last one, posting rule. If I click on this, here you have something called debit, credit. At the last stage, you have something called a debit, credit. This is nothing but accounting entry. This is nothing but accounting entry. In accounting entry, you have to mention what is debit, what is credit. But accounting entry is the last option in your BRS. When will you pass the accounting entry? Only when you decide whether to plus or whether to minus. If I do not know if I have to plus or if I have to minus, can I decide what accounting entry to be passed? Can I know what accounting entry to be passed if I do not know whether I have to plus or I have to minus? Is that possible or not?
Not
Or I
possible,
can
sir.
randomly take debit, credit. What I need to do? First, I need to know whether this transaction is increasing the balance or decreasing the balance. Accordingly, I need to put plus minus symbol. Point number 1, agree with me? Correct?
Yes, sir.
First, I need to know whether this particular transaction is increasing my balance or decreasing my balance. Accordingly, I need to place plus minus symbol. Now, based on the plus minus symbol, I need to pass the accounting entry. Now, accounting entries, where are you going to pass? Are you going to pass the accounting entry in accounting or in banking? Do you go and pass the entries in bank, or are you going to pass accounting in your accounts? Where do you pass accounting entry?
Accounts only, sir.
Now, when I say this statement, let me write this. You have banking. In our example, you have Citibank. You have accounting. In our example, your company code is DEIN, bank GL account. Agree? This is coming from your bank statement. This is your bank GL. Correct? Yes, no? Are these two things correct?
Correct, sir.
When you pass the accounting entry, where do you pass accounting entry? In bank statement or in bank GL?
Bank GL.
Bank GL.
Bank GL.
Any confusion in this? In this part, any confusion? Any confusion in this part, or is it clear?
It's clear.
Clear, right? Now, when you pass the
Yes.
accounting entry, you are passing the accounting entry in bank GL. Your bank GL is nothing but accounting side. Your bank GL is nothing but accounting point of view. Your bank GL is nothing but accounting point of view. In short, when you write the accounting entries, you need to think from the accounting point of view. According to accounting point of view, you need to put debit credit indicator. Clear? Because we understood debit credit indicators are different from accounting point of view. Debit credit indicators are different from banking point of view. Agree? We go up. This is what we have listed. Debit credit indicators from accounting point is different. Debit credit indicator from banking is different. Correct? When you write the accounting entry, we need to think from accounting side or from banking side.
From accounting side, sir.
You'll have to think from accounting side. So here, whatever the setting you have on your screen currently, which is your defined posting rule, here the accounting entries are given considering your accounting. Based on the accounting, you'll have to put which account to be debited, which account to be credited, not based on the banking side. These are the areas where most of the people will get confused. These are the areas where most of the people will get confused. Some even end up creating a configuration reverse. Ulta, they'll create the config. It's not about they do not know, they know the config, but they get confused. They will end up creating debit as credit, credit as debit. But I don't want you to get into that confusion state. I want you to be very strong, very confident right from the beginning. So that even when you talk about BRS in any interview or to anybody, make sure you're not confused. You're not creating a confusion to the other person, and you're also not getting confused to yourself. Be very strong, be very confident, be very clear what you're talking. Now, this is about your transactions, and this is a sample bank statement, whatever you have written. Now, similarly, what I want you to do is take any one bank, take any transaction, any opening balance of your choice, write some 10 or 20 transactions of your choice. Take any date, but make sure you take all the dates of the current month or any single month. Don't club some dates of May, some dates of June likewise, because you will always prepare the bank statement for one particular month. You will not prepare bank statement for 2 months together. It's a monthly statement because you are going to generate balance sheet on a monthly basis. Your BRS is also performed on a monthly basis. Correct? Your balance sheet is prepared on a monthly basis. Your BRS is also prepared on a monthly basis, for which you have to take the transactions of 1 month only, not 2 months transaction. Even when you practice, even when you take example like this, make sure you take single month and you put numbers of your choice. Make sure you are able to calculate closing balance. You are able to differentiate from accounting point of view what will be the closing balance number. From banking point of view, what will be the closing balance number. Which transaction is plus and why it is plus, which transaction is minus, why it is minus. In short, you will have only 4 plus 2, 6 type of transactions. You have only 6 type of transactions in your banking. Majoritarily, you will be playing with only this 6 transaction. Bank transactions. If I'll put check incoming. Everybody knows what is check incoming. If you receive a check, that is called check incoming. Am I correct? Correct?
Yes, sir.
This is nothing but checks received from customers or others. Second one, check outgoing. When you talk about check outgoing, what is this? Checks issued to vendors or others. Correct? Clear are with these 2 points? Check incoming, check
Yes, sir.
outgoing. Third one, it will be transfer incoming. Transfer, when you talk about, this is a bank to bank transfer. You may call it as NEFT transfer, you may call it as RTGS transfer, you may call it as IMPS transfer, any kind of a transfer which is a bank to bank transaction. If you receive any transfer incoming payment, this is again transfer received from customers or others. Similarly, if you have transfer incoming, you will have transfer outgoing. Transfer outgoing is the same thing again. Transfer made to vendors or others. Correct? Clear with the next two? Next, point number 5, expenses, charges. Point number 5, expenses, charges. These are directly charged by banks. Expenses or charges are directly charged by the bank. You have no control on it. You do not know why bank is charging, for what purpose. Agree? Unless and until you see the statement, you do not know why late payment fees is charged, why interest is charged, or why transfer fees is charged. Agree? You may have expenses or you may have charges for various reasons. You will come to know the charges, you will come to know the expenses only when you look at the statement. Am I correct?
Correct, sir.
This is another kind of a transaction. Next one is your incomes. Any kind of income that you get from bank. This is again directly charged by the bank or directly, okay, this is also directly charged by the bank. So you may receive interest on your deposit, you may receive interest or exchange rate incomes or any kind of interest or any kind of income you may receive. These kind of incomes that you are receiving, you may come to know only when you look at the statement. Agree? There may be different kind of incomes. These different kind of incomes, different kind of expenses, we will be talking when you're actually configuring a BRS. But as of now, let's put it at broad level so that it's easy for you to understand. Now, these are the broad banking transactions that you will be dealing with in your BRS. Clear with these 6 type of transactions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. In income directly received from bank or charged by bank. This income.
You can put either ways. I am charged, I mean to say these are directly charged to your account. This charge I may be representing positively, negatively. In short, charged as a debit to your account, charged as a credit to your bank account. Okay, if this is confusing, I'll put received by bank. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now these are the transactions that we normally get from this. Now after this, you have to understand slowly the accounting entries, how accounting entries will come in your BRS. But before we write the accounting entries, because accounting entries part is very simple, but before we go to accounting entries, I want to ensure you are clear with these points. If you are clear with these points, accounting entries is very simple. Nothing complex, nothing critical in accounting entries. And remember, everybody will focus on accounting entries in your BRS, especially in your interview. Your interviewer wants you to explain the accounting entries for BRS, and they want you to explain how these accounting entries are coming, how system will identify and how system will pass the accounting entries. For you to explain the accounting entries, for you to explain the logic, how system is identifying and passing the entry, these are the points that we have discussed, you have to be good at. Refer these points today, and tomorrow I'll explain the accounting entries and basic configuration steps, prerequisites, what we need in our company code to practice BRS. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I
Any
have
questions?
yes, sir. Sir, I have two questions, sir. Sir, in the T code FS15, I have been trying to copy the GLs from one company code to another. It is showing as successful but not getting transferred. So could you please help me out, sir, in this?
Okay, I'll show that after stopping this recording. Okay, that will lead to confusion when somebody looks at this recording.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay, so any questions
Yes.
with respect to this BRS, what we discussed now, you can ask.
One question on this. So whatever we are configuring SAP side, it's related to our accounting side, right? The account
Yes,
point of
correct.
view in this. Yeah. So now you have shown the six type of bank transaction, right? So this six type also, it's we are going to configure as plus and minus in accounting, right?
Accounting point of
Not
view,
in bank.
accounting point of view. No,
Okay.
because we need to pass the entries in our accounting. In banking, the entries are already passed. For
Hmm.
after passing the entries in the banking, bank is giving you the statement. Correct?
Yeah.
Bank has
Yes.
already posted a debit credit and then they are giving you this is your closing balance. Considering that for the same transactions, you need to pass the accounting entries, you need to arrive at the same figure.
Okay.
Now to see this, these are the transactions assuming that happened in a month. When you receive the bank statement, bank has already put debit credit in the statement, addition deduction, agree?
Yeah.
And bank is telling you this is your closing balance. According to bank point of view, they are telling that is 31,717. Now what you need to do for the same transactions, you need to perform accounting. For the same transactions, when you perform the accounting, you should also get the same number, 31,717. If you also get the same number as per your bank statement, then your BRS is completed. If you are getting a different number, then you will check why the balances are not agreeing according to bank statement. You will look at each transaction, why bank has debited this amount, why I have not credited this amount, why this is appearing in my bank statement, why this is not appearing in my accounting, or the other side. I have a transaction in my account, but why this is not part of my bank statement. Accordingly, you will make the necessary adjustments and you will match your bank balance with bank statement, for which you have to pass the entries in your accounting according to accounting point of view.
Okay, sir. So this,
Clear?
so once we configure this settings, the automatically it will reflect as per the bank statement or after the manual entries. So in SAP, we are
No.
posting the manual entries.
Entries will be posted by the system automatically based on our configuration.
Okay.
Okay, for us to do the configuration in system, you need to decide how system will understand whether it has to debit or credit. Your debit credit is based on positive negative sign. So first of
Okay, sir.
all, we need to ensure that how we are able to classify whether a particular transaction is debit or a particular transaction is credit. Accordingly, you will define the settings in system. Based on your settings, system will automatically understand whether to debit the account or to credit the account. Everything we will only be configuring. According to our configuration, system will pass the entry.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Any
Sir,
other
one more
questions?
doubt. Yes, sir. Sir, here check received, suppose 3,500. Check received but not received, that situation. Sir. Check issued that is not deposited to the bank. That situation time, sir.
Those transactions will not be part of your bank statement. Whenever you do BRS, what you will do, you are going to verify your accounting with banking, or you are verifying banking with accounting. Hold on, let me put that statement here. Matching accounting with bank statement is point number 1. Point number 2, matching bank statement with accounting. When you do BRS, are you going to do green activity or are you going to do yellow activity? When you do BRS, what are we going to do?
Green activity.
This is point number 1. This is point number 2. When you talk about BRS, are you going to do point number 1 or point number 2?
Point number
One,
2,
sir.
Ajay.
Point number 2. Agree?
Yes.
Now, when you say check deposited but not
But collect.
encashed, correct? Not
Yes.
check deposited, check issued. Is this what your query?
Yes, sir.
If check is issued and it is not deposited, if check is not deposited, is this part of your bank statement or not part of the bank statement?
Not part of bank statement, but accounting point of view enters.
Okay, I'll put some 1000 here. Now I'll put accounting. In accounting, you have put negative 1000 here. Clear?
Yes, sir.
In accounting, you have put negative 1000. In banking, there is nothing for this.
0. No.
In banking, there is nothing for it. Now, when you perform a BRS, you are going to do activity number 2, matching bank statement with accounting. According to bank statement, this 1000 is not part of the statement. Agree?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
According to bank statement, this 1000 is not part of it. Now, when you perform a BRS, when you calculate bank closing balance, according to accounting, you are not supposed to consider this. Initially, this is part of your bank account, but when you perform a BRS, you have to not include this. In short, your bank balance, you need to show 1000 rupees more. Now, for you to do this activity, in the previous session, we talked about for every bank account, how many GL accounts we need to allot?
10.
3 GL.
10 GL accounts.
10.
We need to allot 10 GL accounts for every bank. These 10 GL accounts are called as some concept. There is a concept which we call it as account. What is first account? What is second account?
Main account, sub account.
Correct. So first one I call it as, main account. Second one I call it as sub account. Put this here. Now your main account is always a reflection of bank statement. Main account is always what? A reflection of bank statement. Sub account is always unreconciled transactions with bank statement. Clear? Are these 2 points clear? Your main account is always a reflection of bank statement. In short, whatever the entries that are appearing in your bank statement, all the entries must be appearing in your bank main account. If a transaction which is not appearing in bank statement, that should not appear in bank main account. That should not appear in bank main account. In short, to write one more statement here, all the day-to-day bank transactions are strictly posted in bank sub-accounts. Clear? All the day-to-day bank transactions are strictly posted in bank sub-accounts. During bank recon, we will pass the entries in bank main account. Are these 2 points clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
All your day-to-day business transactions or all your day-to-day bank transactions, strictly you have to post in bank sub-accounts. Your bank main account is used, or your bank main account will receive the postings only during bank reconciliation. When you are not doing BRS, there is no entry in bank main account. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions? No? Alright, let me stop this recording.